Recovery is stupendous.
Achievable.
Hope.
Freedom.
Empowering.
It's unique to everyone.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Getting a new lease on life.
It's finding restoration after you fall down.
Recovery is having the freedom to enjoy life.
For me, it was finding a way to really love myself.
My recovery is possible in part because of my own sense of purpose.
Hello, and welcome to Montana's Peer Network Recovery Talks podcast. Not only is this a roundtable edition, but we are going live. So welcome to all of you who are tuning in and viewing this really special Recovery Talks Roundtable live podcast. Could we put any more into that title, please? Okay, so this is the first time we're trying this out. Listeners to our regular podcast know that we do these every week, but normally we're not live. So I have two really cool guests today who are on the roundtable. Go ahead and introduce yourselves to the audience.
My name is Ashley McLean. I'm the Recovery Coach Supervisor for Montana's Peer Network, and I'm happy to be here today with you guys.
And my name's Bill Devil. I am a peer support specialist with Montana Peer Network, working out of MCDC.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for coming on and doing the live portion. So again, if you listen to our podcast regularly, you'll often hear Andy and myself or Andy interviewing people. And we've been starting to record these roundtable where we bring in other people in recovery. We pick a topic and we just kind of go around and we share our thoughts and feelings about it. And so again, with social distancing, I don't know if you're like me, but you know, it's been a few weeks now and it's kind of nice to see people's faces. Don't you guys think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I miss the human connection.
Yeah. So this is kind of the best we can do at the moment, right? With all the executive orders and guidance around, flattening the curve, right? All these buzzwords that we've learned here in the last few weeks, new words for our lexicon. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Today we're going to talk about what are we doing as people in recovery? What are we doing during social isolation, during the virus outbreak? What are we doing to, maintain both work and our personal life during the virus, right? And as we're isolating, staying at home, we're not all together having staff meetings and trainings and all those things. So what do you guys think? What are you doing to stay healthy, both personally and with work?
So for me, I don't know, I actually was on, one of several webinars that I've been on, and that's something that's kind of changed for me is like I have more interest in doing these webinars because I'm home and I'm getting all these things. But one of the things that I heard and I really loved, and it kind of helps me change my narrative in this, is it's not social distancing, it's physical distancing, because I have to stay social even in my physical distancing. And for me, like that's something in my personal life that kind of helped me is I still reach out, I still talk to people, it's just in a different way. So I have to stay social, I have to stay connected. And that's the same with my work world. We kind of at Montana's Peer Network, we've kind of adopted this way of life to the way that we work anyway. And so not much has changed for me there, but with my one-on-ones at MCDC, it's changed tremendously. And like I miss being able to go in there. I miss being able to meet the girls and meet them where they're at. And that's changed tremendously. And there's, we haven't figured out a way how to make that work yet. So.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Montana's Peer Network, we are, we don't all come to the office every single day. We're sort of spread out across the state to begin with. And so we use GoToMeeting, GoToTraining. We're always doing things virtually. And we do get together right, and have face-to-face stuff, but we kind of have been doing this for a number of years already. And so I agree with you. I think it makes it a little bit easier. Bill, what are your thoughts? What have you been doing personally and with work?
Well, at first with all of this, I was kind of like willy-nilly all over the place type stuff. But about a week and a half into it, I really needed to find some sort of different and new routine because my normality was gone. And it took me a little while to figure that out. You know, my daily recovery routine's pretty much the same, with the absence of being able to see people face to face. So me reaching out and calling people has gone up a little bit. Other people calling me has gone up a little bit. And I've really had to pay attention to my emotions because I seem to somehow I don't have as much tolerance because my routine is all messed up and I get frustrated easier. And so I've really had to become really present with myself and be aware of my emotions so that if need be, I take a little time to just regroup or reset or whatever that might be. And that usually means I go outside of the house and I do something in the yard or something, or me and my boy go for a walk around the block. And so this has been different. Like Ashley was saying, I'm a physical person. I like to give hugs. I mean, I just, that human contact is so important for me. And some of my routine with seeing people, I get to check in and I get to do that. And a lot of those people, I don't get to see. And so I have to remember I need to call this person. I need to reach out to this person because normally they're just part of my daily routine and I get to check in with them and talk to them. And so it's been different. Some days are better than others. Some days I struggle and it's a tough day, and other days I'm okay. So I just have to stay in tune with myself and be aware of where I'm at.
Well, I definitely hear what you're saying. Yeah. Go ahead, Ashley. Yeah.
No, I just was saying that I agree like 100% with what Bill just said.
Yeah. I think you hit it. The routine piece, right? All of our routines have been disrupted, and the routines, I feel like that's part of. It provides a sense of stability and a sense of safety, and now it's all disrupted. And so it's like, oh, I need to find a new routine, and what is that? And that takes a little time. This morning so I walk to work a lot of mornings, or I'll even ride my bike in the summertime. But today I walked because I've been working a little bit in the office and working a little bit at home. But I went for a walk for about 45 minutes around town, and really early in the morning, there's really almost nobody on the streets of Livingston. And that's been really helpful to me. The weather has gotten better for the last few days, and so I've been able to get on my bike and do some bike riding, and that's been really helpful because I lost one of my really big kind of go-tos, which would be hiking in Yellowstone. And this would be ideal because it's like, stay home and don't be around people. Great, I'll go in the backcountry of Yellowstone and go hiking all day. And the park is closed. So that's a big one for me, and I'm definitely feeling it. And this morning when I was out walking, I ran into the guy who owns the bike shop here in town. He was out walking his dogs, and we started talking, and that was the first thing he mentioned to me, because he does the same thing. This time of year, he would be bringing his bike, because you can ride your bike in the park normally, before the roads open. So once the snow melts off, you could go bike riding. So that was the first thing he mentioned to me. And so that helped because it was like, oh, I'm not the only person who's like thinking, hey, springtime, normally I'm in the park, you know. And so that's been really hard. I think the routine thing, Bill, that you hit it right there, is finding a new routine. What does that look like? Because things have definitely changed. I think in terms of work for me, you know, maintaining routine also at work with, I mean, there's still bills that have to be paid and payroll still has to be run. And then I've been really trying to make this effort to check in with staff and board members, you know, how are you doing, right? And getting feedback. And there's also meetings going on, not as many, it's definitely scaled back, but there's still things happening. Like last week, we had that panel on peer support, right? So that came about in just a couple of days. I mean, it was like 3 days with some of our strategic partners. We have regular meetings, and just that took a lot of behind the scenes coordination to get everybody on the panel and then prepped. But then you also have to let the public know, right? You have to like get the word out. So that was kind of a lot of scrambling last week. I spent a couple days sending out tons of emails to people and thinking about how do I get this out. And it ended up a really great event. I think we had 64 people on that webinar learning about how to do peer support, and right now with social distancing and bill for it. So we're still doing consulting. We're still, despite what's happening, and you guys know this, Ashley in particular, you know this. I mean, we're still doing our webinars, which we've been doing webinars for years. And so it's sort of funny when I talk to people who are like, hey, what kind of online meeting stuff do you use? You know, and I right? Like, I think, well, like we've been using this stuff for...
I've definitely noticed an uptick in the people that are signing up for these things since this happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, cool, let's keep this momentum going after this, you know, we're done physically distancing and there's some kind of normalcy. Like, let's keep doing this.
Yeah.
It's another way to stay connected all of the time.
Yeah. And I'm going to do a little pitch for GoToMeeting, because I'm noticing people are really utilizing Zoom a lot, and Zoom is totally fine. They have had some issues, but I think they've corrected them. But we've been using GoToMeeting for probably 7 years, 8 years. We've been using it a long time, and it's nice and secure, and has good video and audio, and has lots of features. So I'm doing a little pitch for GoToMeeting. I'm noticing people aren't really using it. Now, it is a fee-based one, but I think with the fee, it makes it more secure and has more features to it than, say, Zoom, or if you're using FaceTime or something like that. So since we're going live, one of the interesting things that we're offering up is Q&A, right? And so I think we've got maybe some questions that are starting to come in, or people starting to make some comments. Let's take a couple. What do you guys think? You want to take a couple live questions?
Yeah, let's take
That'd be good.
Okay.
So Lori said that she was talking to her therapist and that she's struggling with abiding by the virus rules. How is that working for you guys?
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Like, struggling with the rules. I don't feel like you're alone there. I also have struggled with the rules, and you know, I kind of justified it and rationalized it in my own head, saying, hey, my friend has been quarantined the same amount of time that I have, so she can come to my house. And you know, and it's like, you know, that justification and rationalization that we do in so many areas of our lives still applies to this. Like, it's not that bad. I know exactly what she's been doing. But that's not the truth. Like, I don't know exactly what she's been doing at every second of her day. But it's just like that yearning for someone else to be here. You know what I mean? Besides my family, because we're always together, and it's getting tough. So I also struggle with the road.
Yeah. Phil, what do you think about that?
Well, I would say that that's, for me, something that is a day-to-day thing that I have to remind myself of and be disciplined. I know that I haven't done it perfect, but I'm consciously aware of it. And so I work hard at staying disciplined and trying to follow the recommendations that our governor has given us, that our president has given us. And then I try and remember that this isn't just for me. These recommendations that we're supposed to follow, this is for my mom and dad who are close to 80 years old. This is for the person that has COPD that I might run into. It's bigger than just myself and thinking about it's about all of our communities. It's about protecting our most vulnerable. And so I don't do it perfect. I'm human. I give in to my social desires. But even when I do that, I still practice social distancing. So it's definitely something that I believe every individual is dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So the struggle is definitely real.
Yeah, I would say, Lori, for me, a couple things come to mind. I think those are really good points, both Bill and Ashley. I have always been a person who I have always carried hand sanitizer in my car. And when I go, and for years, people gave me crap about it. Like, seriously, people would give me crap. Like, if I go in a store, I come back to my car, I put hand sanitizer on. I've always been sort of sensitive to germs, and this has sort of intensified that for me. But I've gotten some satisfaction now, because when I say leave the grocery store and I get in my car and I'm like, I look around, I see other people now in their car, like cleaning their hands too. And I think, all right, I'm not losing it, right?
I'm not alone.
Yeah, because many times, through the years, I've been doing that for as long as I can remember. I've always had hand sanitizer. Like, I go around, I feel like I'm collecting germs at a store. You're touching things, products, handrails, whatever, shopping carts. And so, yeah, I think, Lori, just to echo the same thing, it's a struggle at times. And I think finding those routines where you can still get out, and then building the new routines, like using Facebook to connect with people, and knowing that this is temporary. This is not going to be the way we're going to live our lives forever now. Like, we need to do this for a short period of time. When you think about time in a big continuum, it feels long. We're 3 weeks in, and it's starting to wear on us, all of us. And it's hard. It's disrupting life. The first week, I think, oh, it's great. Like, we're going to all stay home, and that feels really good. And then the second week, it's like, oh, okay. And now the third week, it's like, oh, this is getting to be a drag. So I think you're not alone in that. And stay connected. We have on Facebook, we have a group set up. Members can log in, and we got Ashley and Andy monitoring that, answering people, getting conversations going. So make sure you use it. And one thing I didn't say was, we have our other staffer. We have Andy, our social media person. She's sort of behind the scenes managing all this. She's the one. She's feeding us these questions. So
She is
Andy,
our
you got,
brain, and we love her.
she is. She is. She is. I get a lot of the credit. People send me emails and say, "Hey, that was really great, whatever you did." And I'm like, it's not really me. It's
That's all
actually
Andy.
Yeah. So, Andy, you got another? Is there another question for us here?
Well, I've got a comment here. Mandy says you were just ahead of the trend on your hand
Well, it's my
sanitizer.
hand washer.
Yeah.
Except I made a mistake in I didn't stock up, right? So like the one in my car now is getting down there, it's getting like down to the bottom, not because I've been going to more stores, but just, I wasn't keeping ahead of the curve. So anyway, thanks for that, Mandy. Appreciate it.
So
All right.
Lori asks again, like, what about folks that don't have access? Because I think some of her comments before are she's not necessarily able to connect with all of her peers because they don't have access to whatever.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's a really good point, Lori. I know some of the stuff that I've heard from some of my peers and my friends is if you do have a smartphone and like you're limited by data, if you call that company, they'll extend your data so you can be doing this stuff on on your phone if you don't have like a laptop or an actual computer to do during this time. It's not just for school kids, it's for everybody because we're kind of all having to shift to this online presence. And so that would be something that I would suggest to look into for the people that do have phones and are limited by like data restrictions.
Yeah, and I would say that this is a good time to begin formulating ideas for the changes that need to happen to our behavioral health system. And this is a topic that has been talked about for a few years. I've been in many conversations nationally with this idea that, how do we outreach, and this is outbreak aside, how do we outreach to rural and frontier communities, right? Because internet is not always available. And people who live in big cities across the country don't understand this concept, but there are lots of places in Montana where internet is not accessible. And then you also have issues around poverty. And so like Ashley's saying, people don't have the data, so they're not able to use it, or they don't have a smartphone. So the talk that I have heard for a long time, and now would be the time to formulate this as we move into the future, and once this is over, is that why can't we make phones available to everyone? I mean, that seems like a big ask, but most of us already have phones. So we're not talking about 300 million phones. We're actually talking about a small portion of phones, right? And so people who are participating in recovery programs, treatment programs, they're working with peer supporters, why can't that be part of a grant project to provide phones? And I know there have been nationally some pilot projects around this where they provide phones, they download them with apps. And how do we get internet to everybody so that when this happens, or it happens again, like we're hearing officials starting to talk about, this could come back in the fall, we could see a whole nother outbreak, we're sort of prepared for this and we can connect with people, right? I think that this would be the time to start thinking about what does that look like and what are the numbers and how could we do that? How could we begin funding those kinds of things? And maybe some of this, money, this federal money that's coming to states, maybe the states could figure some way out to do it and safeguard it against abuses. But to me, that seems like the easiest solution.
That's a really good point.
All right, Andy, do we have another one?
So something that seems to be coming up in the chat is like, I'm feeling really lonely. my anxiety is really high, that kind of stuff. Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Bill, you look like you were going to say something there. You want to jump in first?
So the question is, anxiety and stress has increased. I kind of talked about that a little bit at the beginning. And one of the things that has increased my anxiety and stress level is that my daily routine is really important for my mental health symptoms. And so when that routine has changed, my anxiety and my stress goes up. And I was kind of talking about how I have to be really mindful of my emotions, and I have to be willing to start my day over or do more than I usually would do to manage symptoms. And so the walk thing really, really, really helps me. And then the other thing, based on my spirituality, that helps me a lot is I've been praying a little more than usual. And usually when I pray, it's like, you got to go for a walk. And it's like, oh yeah, that really helps me. And so my physical activity has gone up. Think about being stressed or being anxious, or my mind overworking and thinking, a million scenarios out because of the information that we hear on a daily basis. And then once again, when my mind gets to that point and it's just like on overload and it's just racing, my spirituality, my best tool with my spirituality is prayer, because I give it away. It's something that's out of my control. It's something that I have no control over. And so I give it away. I just give that stuff away. And it's not like I give it away and, oh my gosh, I'm cured. It's something that I have to do all throughout the day. I have to be vigilant at taking care of myself. And that takes a lot of accountability and a responsibility, but I need to do that for myself. I'm responsible for my recovery and my well-being. And so even though it's different and it's a little more work, it's something that I need to be willing to do during this period of time so that I stay well.
Right. How about for you, Ashley?
I really can relate to the feeling of loneliness, even though I'm not lonely. Like I have people in my sphere, but I still feel loneliness. Like I can relate to that feeling. One thing I think that kind of helps me with that is there's something going on in my community that, and I think I've seen it in several different states and cities and different communities here in Montana, but we're getting, like, everybody's getting together, like, so you're not alone at 8 o'clock at night, and they're either howling or they're banging pots and pans, and you go outside and you hear the whole city doing it, and it kind of makes you feel like, oh, okay, I'm not in this alone. Like, yeah, I might feel like that in my house, but I go outside and I hear all these people who aren't alone, who are, maybe going through that same thing, but we're not alone in the way that we're feeling and the emotions that go along with it. For me, with anxiety, I think we've touched on this many, many times already, but that routine, like getting up and getting dressed and showered, even though I don't have anywhere to go, because it's really easy for me to just be like, oh, there's no use. I don't have to see anybody, and and just staying in that icky feeling, and getting up and taking a shower, washing my face, and like getting ready for the day, kind of helps me feel some kind of normalcy. And and so that's kind of how I deal with it. I've been journaling a lot about my feelings, And that's one thing, you know, because to just say, don't be anxious, or, you know, you're not alone is, it's kind of just like, shut the hell up. You know what I mean? Like, this is real. I'm going through it, and I need to process that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Good point. It's kind of like the don't go to Yellowstone, and then all I want to think about is going to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
it's the rebel, the losing some of the freedoms of normal life and wanting to do it anyway. Yeah, I think those are great, what you guys are sharing. I mean, I think for me, the routine thing, I'm still getting up at the same time every day. I'm still getting dressed. That's why I move between the off working at home and in the office, why I go back and forth, because getting up, so, you know, my wife works for the post office, and so her life is just normal. Like, really, I mean, she's getting up and going to work all day, and so I'm doing the same. I'm getting up, and I'll leave the house. I'll come to the office in the morning, and then I'll work for a bit, and then I'll bring my laptop home and then work from home. And that seems to really help. I mean, it gets me outside, gets me active, but also trying to maintain some of that routine. I think that's a big one. I think the other thing is all those little projects that you have sitting around at home, like, this is a good time to do them. This is a really good time, you know, that cabinet that you've been meaning to clean. Yeah, you know, like, we all got a cabinet, like, we've been meaning to clean that drawer out for like 2 years. Like, this is a good time to do that, you know, like, you can stay busy for a little while and go do that. And then the other big thing, I think, for me that helps keep me, because like you said it, Bill, I think, well, sometimes there's good days or bad days, or within a day you kind of go up and you go down, you know, right? The uncertainty, that's what worries me, is the uncertainty. How long is this going to go on? I believe we're going to get through it. I think we're all, as a nation, doing the right thing. And so I feel like I'm confident in we're going to get through it sooner rather than later. And what does that mean for the future? And so I start stressing on that. But I found, like, you know, listening to podcasts, or I'm a big reader, so I read a lot of books. So making time for that in my day. And then also just being gentle with myself when I'm starting to feel that way, that not being judgmental and just saying, it's okay, you can feel this way. The whole world is feeling anxious and stressed out right now. And if you believe in energy, imagine the energy we are creating around the world as human beings right now. Nervous, negative sort of energy, this stress that's just floating around the world, right? I mean, there's not a lot of positive things that we're hearing every day. We're hearing more and more cases, more and more deaths, more and more hot spots. We don't have gear, you know, healthcare workers getting sick. I mean, there's a lot out there. So I think anybody who's feeling stressed or anxiety, you're very justified in feeling that way. And that's where you got to reach into the toolbox, and you got to start using the tools, you know. What do you have in there? And right now you might have to use all your tools, and you might be using them every single day. If you don't have tools, find some, talk to people, you know, and ask them what are they doing, because this is the time you got to be using them. All right, Andy, you got another one? Yeah.
So this kind of goes along with like what you were just saying, but Lori's kind of talking about like she's able to stay busy during the day, and then nights get harder for her. So like she's journaling, but interestingly, April happens to be self-care month for us, which we did not plan based on what's happening right now. It just was in the schedule. So can you guys sort of address like what you're doing for self-care, or, you know, what's different in your self-care?
Sure. Good question. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll start on this one because this is what I was kind of touching on, like being gentle with yourself, and what does that really mean, and that not judging the way that you're feeling, that this is real, this is happening. And so acknowledging that this is actually happening. And it's a little bit hard to sometimes grasp that this is going on across the entire globe. This isn't just you in your town in Montana or your county. This isn't just your region, Rocky Mountain region. This isn't just the United States. This is the entire world is going through this, and everybody is isolating and staying at home. So I think acknowledging that is huge. That helps me tremendously to know that, hey, this is happening in other places. And if you want reminders of that, put on YouTube and watch videos that people are posting going all the way back to February, from China to Italy, now France. You're seeing people posting these, talking about the challenges. And so I think that's a huge one, is to acknowledge that, yes, this is happening, this is real, I'm feeling this way, and I'm going to be gentle. I'm not going to judge the fact that I'm feeling this way, because you're justified in feeling it right now.
I think one thing for self-care that I, even before this, but definitely through this, is you can start dancing like nobody's watching, because nobody is now. And so, like, just get up and freaking dance. Blast your music and dance. Nobody can see you. Like, the whole world can't see you. And just kind of let loose. It kind of just shakes all that icky out. I don't know. It's something that I love to do. I do have a husband and a daughter, so they actually can see me, but I don't care if they see me, and they think I'm crazy. But there's some validity to that too. So it's okay.
Yeah. Good. It's also a good pitch for laughter yoga, right, Ashley?
Yeah, laughter yoga. Can laugh for no reason at all.
That's right. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Laughter yoga. It's a good time for that. That would be a great routine.
I'm going to pitch. There's a YouTube video, and it's called Happier in 5 Minutes, and that is something that's great. If you go out and you watch it, pay attention to her shirt, because it's hilarious, and you can just laugh at her shirt that she's wearing. But yeah, Happier in 5 Minutes on YouTube is great.
Yeah, cool. Bill, how about you? Self-care?
So there's a couple things I wanted to kind of add to what has already been said. When Jim was talking about being kind to himself, and this just occurred to me, is lately I've been asking myself, what the hell's wrong with you? And it's because I'm going through so many different emotions, and it's because things are changing for me, and these types of events is helping me in the moment, realizing that I do need to be kind to myself, and things are changing, and I do need to be aware of that. But as far as self-care goes, is, when Ashley was talking about dancing around and just letting loose and just letting all that bad energy leave you, one thing that I have been doing, and this might sound silly, but my son, who's 2.5, watches these cartoons, and there's this one called Bubble Guppies, and at the end they dance and they sing, and so I dance and I sing with him on those ones, and then there's this other Mickey Mouse club or something. They have this hot dog dance, and I'll do the hot dog dance with them, and so doing stuff that I do occasionally. It seems to me that I'm doing it a little bit more, and I'm even kind of looking forward to the hot dog dance. It's a catchy tune, and the dance moves are pretty simple, and
Yeah.
And my son thinks I'm a hero because I'm dancing with him.
Great.
I get double rewarded, but yeah, I can't believe that, you know, Jim's saying be kind to yourself. And the first thing that pops in my head is I've been asking myself, what the hell's wrong with you? Quite a bit lately, because my patience is down, my tolerance is down,
Sure.
my ability to reason has diminished because I'm my head's so fast and running around, and I just need to take a breath and let it go. And so I'm glad I'm able to be a part of this little dilly-dally that we got going on.
Absolutely. Andy.
So this isn't
another one?
It's not necessarily a specific question, but a lot of stuff that Mandy is sharing is, you know, recovery happens via many pathways, and she sees this as a catalyst to exploring those other pathways, and also, and I think we've talked about this a little bit about barriers. Were those barriers to this kind of thing real barriers? Or were they just preferences or the way we've always done things, so we can't, you know, so like for the working at home, right? A lot of places will say, no, you can't work at home, period. You can't work at home.
Right.
And that's not actually true. So I don't know. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that, like exploring different ways of doing stuff?
Sure. So yeah, this is one of the things. We already do this at Montana's Peer Network. You know, when I have, you know, over the years building this organization and thinking about what I want that to look like, not just from what do I want MPN to look like, but what do I want MPN to be like for the employees who work here. And one of the things that we do is we allow people to work from home. I don't feel like I need to have control over my employees every second of the day because they took a break for too long and I need to stand at the time clock and discipline them because they, you know, spent a couple extra minutes outside in the sunshine or whatever, you know. And that's really part of the philosophy of our organization. And so we have not been impacted as greatly because of that. And I hope that other companies embrace this idea, because I think that overall it allows people to also get their things in their life accomplished. There's things we have to do during the work week, like banking or, you know, going to the grocery store. It's so much easier during the week than it is on a Saturday when everybody is there. And so those little things that we do at MPN that we've always done, I think are really, you know, being amplified right now and helping us stay in a good place. But hopefully these other companies allowing people to work from home can see that this is feasible, that you can do this for people, and that these are benefits that you can offer your employees that are greatly appreciated. Ashley, as an employee, I'm sure you have some thoughts around this topic.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think that this is, you know, kind of the shift in, like, via many pathways doesn't just apply to mental health and behavioral health. Like, it applies to, like, whole wellness of, like, all of our society right now. And especially in the work world, I think they're going to start to see, because I know from my own personal experience that my productivity in the work that I do is way better when it's on my terms. And I get things done a lot better when it's on my terms. And it makes me a better employee. It makes me kind of happier in general. And I think companies are going to start to see that their productivity from the people that are doing stuff at home is going to be increased. And, I think that's that shift in, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I need to take more than an hour today. You know what I mean? I need
Right.
to take a little bit longer because I really need to check myself. Like, this is just whole wellness, not just for us. Like, we are the lucky ones who kind of have like insight into that, but like the masses don't. And I think there's going to start to experience, you know, this shift of, you know, I'm better when I can do things kind of on my terms, you know, and still meet deadlines.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think that the first, as an employer, you've got to let go of the control factor and stop needing to have control all at every moment of the day, throughout the day. Does it really matter if your employee gets your project done at 8 a.m., 2 p.m., or 6 p.m.? What does it matter so that when you come in the next day, it's done? Like, it doesn't really matter, does it? Maybe the person's more productive in the evening, or maybe they have something, you know, else. So anyway, I mean, I really think that that's something that hopefully companies will begin to embrace, and where they can allow people to work from home, I think you'll end up with healthier, happier employees in the long run. So.
Yeah. And that makes us happier and healthier to the people that we serve. So.
Yeah, in this type of work, for sure. Absolutely. Right. So I'm looking at the time here, and I'm thinking we're probably to the end. We've been going for about 45 minutes. Thank you so much for tuning in to this Recovery Talks Roundtable Facebook Live event. I had a good time. How about you guys?
I did. I had a great time. And, you know, in the future, if there's something that, you know, you are really wanting to hear about from us, and you have a suggestion of us doing this again, please comment, or, you know, let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'll do it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you for, thanks for letting us be a part of your day, and be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
There you go. That's the message for the day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works, recovery is possible.
Recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery works and recovery is possible.
Recovery is possible.